Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, a brand new podcast here that David Cole and I have decided to put together. And it's kind of timely, of course, as we get set to head to Las Vegas, me for the 23rd time for the SuperKarts USA SuperNationals. This new podcast called The OutLap, essentially that precursor to an event that we're going to be going to. We do the debrief after every one of the major events we have on the EKN Trackside live tour. But David said, you know what, why don't we sit down and kind of preview the events we're going to see at the SuperNats? Let's preview the categories. You know, David's working his tail off, busting out class-by-class previews. You're seeing those on the website now, and they'll be there all this week as well. But he said, why not? Let's leverage the EKN Radio Network, and let's start a podcast that we'll use to do now audio previews as well, in addition to the editorial we have. So episode number 1, it's November the 11th. It's Monday. We are essentially a week away, at least before I hit the air to get to Las Vegas. But this podcast, the OutLap, will be focused on upcoming events in North American kart racing. We'll preview the race itself, preview the teams, the drivers. You know, if it's a second or third or fourth event, we can preview the point standings, where people stand coming in, and any kind of special events surrounding it. David, pretty solid idea. You ready to rock with it or what?
Let's go. Get the tires warmed up and get out there.
That's it. It's the OutLap, folks. Warm up those tires. This particular episode, numero uno, brought to you by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of experience to get proven results. Get ready for the big races like the SuperNats by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. David, I like that. That line was good. Let's warm up the tires. Let's get out there, build a little heat. In this case, into the Avinco tires, because it's time to go SuperNats racing. This is going to be fun. Number 23, the first of 2 OutLap preview podcasts that we'll have out before we head to Vegas for the race. But yeah, it's always shocking to me when we start talking and prepping for SuperNats, because I remember being at the Winter Series at Homestead. I feel like that was just, a month ago or 2 months ago. It's wild every time we roll into November.
Is this rocking chair stories with Rob?
Woo, pretty much, bud. Hold on. Let's see if you can hear my rocker. Oh, I feel so
There we go. Okay. Well, think about it, Rob. I want to make you even older. 23, okay. That's a pretty good number, because probably a majority of the racers that are at the SuperNationals are under the age of 23.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah. No, you're right. The majority of the drivers probably weren't even born when the first SuperNats was. But those of us with experience, like myself, Bonner, Moulton, etc., were there for the first one. Bonner was actually on the podium for the first one. Yeah, but you're right. I love the fact that we've got a race that's getting that old, though. We got some history, which is awesome.
Was Tom at every single one too?
I don't think Tom was at the first couple, to be honest with you. I don't think he got into the sport. Kutcher got into the sport until maybe 98 or 99. I don't think.
So probably 99 or 2000.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Remember
What year did he win Team of the Year? That was 2002 or 2003.
I want to say 2002.
Because it was at the Rio when he did win the Team of the Year.
2002 or 2003, because he had guys like Ronnie White was on the team at that point for his shop, Extreme Karting. Yeah, good call.
Okay.
That's another episode to go deep into the history. We could get Kutcher on here for that, actually, because you know what? He
won't talk.
You know what? If you got him on here to talk, we probably wouldn't be able to do it on a laptop, because he's functionally enabled to use a laptop that way. But if we sat down with him, I bet you'd have some great stories, because one of the things about Tom is the fact that he's the perfect example of a guy that found shifter kart racing, fell in love with shifter kart racing, and dove head in. He ended up starting his own shop at one point, and just because he loved shifter kart, he absolutely loved it. It was his thing. It took over, and now he's been doing it now for 20 years, right? Crazy. But we're back at the Rio again, which is great. Again, the Las Vegas has been the home for the event, the SuperNationals, for 22 years. This is 23. First couple of years out at I can't remember what it was called the first time we were there. It ended up being the Las Vegas Karting Center, and then it was Xplex, and then we moved into the Rio for a couple of years, then over to Sam Boyd Stadium, back to the Rio, then the Las Vegas Convention Center, which was for 3 years, which was fun. But now we're back at the Rio, which is probably the spiritual home of the event as it is, anyways.
Well, it's been there since 2008. It was 2008 through 14. So in the current era of the sport, that's kind of been like the home, and it was the longest run of a location for the event. So 7 years at the Rio. Not to mention 2 years before that in 2002 and 2003. So 9, and then now last year being the 10th time at the Rio. It's essentially, like you said, it's kind of been its nostalgia home for the events ever since leaving the Xplex.
Well, and let's put it this way, right? The first 5 years out in Sloan, at the Xplex, great racetrack. People still lament the fact that they've recently torn it up. People love the track. It was fun to race on, but it was out in the middle of nowhere, like so many kart tracks. It was super cold in the morning, super cold at night because you're out in the middle of the desert. But another reason why the Rio, I think, holds such a special place was because that was that big move, right? Everybody talked, because we used to stay at the Palace Station. That was the host hotel at one point. So you drove right past the Rio in the parking lot. And we'd all talk, man, look at that lot there. We could do the race here. And, you got to hand it off to Jim Early and the crew back in those days that helped make that happen. But that was the move. That was the, hey, karting, we're taking karting to the next level because we're not just out here, we're now at the Rio. Right. And on HDNet, it was a live broadcast, 3-hour live broadcast Saturday and Sunday on HDNet at one point. So I think, that plays to the Rio being such a special home in the history of this program, because not only has, like David, like you said, it's been the longest run. We've been there the most, but it was that place where we left the desert and kind of came into the big show, which I thought was great.
And one of the things about the Rio is we've had very different track configurations. A little bit, some have been a little bit of the same. So some we've kind of taken the same of this layout and moved it into this layout, and vice versa. Even in the 2002 and 2003 years, I believe those were two different tracks, if not at least a bit of adjustment between the 2 years. And that's kind of going to be the case, I think, this year going in, because we've seen Superkarts USA announce the track layout. It's essentially the same layout as last year, but they're going to make some tweaks in regarding the construction of the track. So we'll see what happens, because I've talked to Bonner Moulton about it. He was part of the trio that helped design the layout with Howie Idelson and Wes Boswell. They said the track wasn't exactly constructed the way they wanted it laid out. So we'll see.
They did say that last year, didn't they?
Right. So we'll see exactly what happens, with the SKUSA officials who are now on site today on location, getting ready to build the compound that is the SuperNationals 23, along with building the racetrack and getting everything in place for everybody to essentially move in. Friday or Saturday, I think, is when people start moving in.
Isn't it amazing? It keeps getting pushed back. Like I remember when we used to roll in there on a Sunday, and people were just lined up to come in on the Sunday. And now with so many people coming in and so much work that needs to be done with everybody's compounds, their own pits, and getting everybody moved around. Yeah, I think you're right. They're coming in on Friday and Saturday. Now, David, talk about the numbers as well. Obviously, you've been crunching them. You've been working your tail off, getting previews done. The first 5 already cranked out, or first 6 actually. You got the G1 and G2 done and out on the website today. So the first 6 already done. Numbers looking pretty good, almost hitting that 500 mark.
Yeah, not quite there regarding numbers when we were able to receive them on November 4th. They're at 494. That's including some of the waitlisters that are there waiting. So we know we're going to have some cancellations here and there. But we're also going to have at-track entries. I know of at least 2 or 3 drivers that were not on the list that have contacted us, say, hey, we're going to race. We're just not on the entry list right now because we waited too long. And that typically happens. And that's why there's wait lists in some of these classes that are already capped off. I think almost all our IAME categories, except for the ones that have the 88 number as the cap, all the IAME categories, or single speed categories, I should say, are at the cap.
Now, okay, so we're just over about, actually for me, a week away. You're 8 days away before you fly out to Las Vegas. I'm heading there Monday. You're coming in very early on Tuesday morning. The interesting thing right now is I'm kind of setting up for you to talk about weather, because as I look out my office window, and I just actually went out and ran some errands and decided to get my ass back in because we're going to get about a foot of snow here near Toronto today. I know you guys have got snow coming in probably. I know Chicago, I think, just got hit. I was talking to a buddy from Chicago. They're getting snow. I'm looking, let's get on the plane. Let's go somewhere decently warm. If we get mid to high 60s during the day, I'm going to be very happy.
Yeah, that's the future forecast right now for Las Vegas. Looking at it from today going into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of next week, they're saying highs in the 60s, lows in the 40s, sunshine all 5 days on the racetrack. So it's your typical Las Vegas November weather that you want to welcome. And yeah, it's going to be great to get away from the already 3 inches that have fallen here in my driveway in Michigan.
You got 3 already?
It's bad. It's coming down.
Yeah.
So if anybody watched the Green Bay Carolina game that played last night, all that snow that was there has moved over this way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to the radio, and I guess where I am, Toronto, Hamilton area, we're potentially getting 30 centimeters, which is essentially very close to a foot of snow. So it's nice on these days, David, to work from the home office. There's no doubt about that, and I'm thrilled that I don't have to drive to the airport today.
Yeah, it was not good that my son forgot his trombone, and I had to brave the elements to go drop it off at his school because the car's not ready. It does not have the snow tires fitted to it yet.
Dude, he's growing up. Aiden's getting bigger. I think it's time you got to get him on that snow shovel pretty soon.
Yeah, probably the days I'm gone, and it's going to probably snow here while I'm gone. And for the SuperNats, it'll probably snow. So Mom's going to have to get his butt out there and start shoveling.
Crack the whip.
That's right.
It's about time. That's why you have kids.
That's right.
Shovel snow and cut grass.
Slave labor.
Slave labor. Well, folks, we are underway. This is the inaugural edition of the EKN OutLap, essentially our opportunity to preview races that are coming up as part of the EKN Trackside Live Tour. Of course, the last one here to cap off 2019, the SKUSA SuperNationals. David coming up with the idea of grabbing the previews we have, kind of taking those 5 at a time, do a couple of preview shows. We're calling it the OutLap. Glad you're joining us right now. I hope you're excited as we are to head to Las Vegas for the single biggest race in North American karting, the SKUSA SuperNationals, November 20th to 24th. This is the OutLap. Stay with us. More to come when we get back after this break. It's time to start breaking down some of these classes. You've heard and read about us. We're the Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win. After putting all 8 of our X30 senior drivers in the main at last year's SKUSA SuperNationals, we're the tent you need to be under this November. We have just 4 spots available, so contact us today to lock in one of our final opportunities. We may be prepping for Las Vegas, but it's also time to talk about 2020. Joining the Rawlson Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Our industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, SuperNationals winners, and former Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. In 2020, we'll be racing in the SKUSA Winter Series, Pro Tour, and California Pro Kart Challenge, as well as the IKF Northwest region. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. We do have different levels of programs available for the IKF Sprint Grand Nationals at Pat's Acres on the September 20, 21, 22 weekend. So if you want to get a head start on 2020, come up and join us and take your shot at winning a Duffy, one of the most prestigious trophies in the sport. We're the Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win.
Top-level production with a focus on a single form of motorsport, karting. This is MG Tires. MG Tires USA, underneath the Vantage Karting Group banner, is the official distributor of the MG Tires brand for the United States. MG Tires are used as the official spec tire in the United States Pro Kart Series, the Route 66 Sprint Series, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and countless clubs across the country. No matter your compound preference, MG Tires USA has you covered. Whether it's the medium HCI Red, the soft FC Yellow, or the super soft Green YZ, MG Tires USA has your winning set of rubber in stock. For more info about MG Tires USA and its extensive list of dealers near you, check out their website at mgtiresusa.com. MG Tires, for the drivers.
The shift is on to a new brand and a new way of thinking. The Croc promotion has taken American karting by storm, and simply put, we have the best kart on the market. We've won and continue to win national and regional races with a revolving door of drivers. Myers, Bedozo, French, Musgrave, and we're ready to dominate the rest of the 2019 season. We just want to win. That's it. Plain and simple. Our dynamic R&D program is more aggressive than any other manufacturer, and we're the only company focused on building the perfect chassis for American tracks, engines, and tires. Why race a kart made for Europeans? We're testing prototypes for American racing. We're breaking the mold. Croc Promotion is all about supporting dedicated and talented young drivers and winning races. That's Croc Promotion USA. That's Mad Old Nut Racing. We just want to win, plain and simple. No BS. Let us spend our time and money developing the chassis so that you can win. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. Brand new podcast called The OutLap. As we get set to go, this one presented by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. We're going to start talking about categories. Here's one thing, though, David. You know what? We call it The OutLap. Now, that was your idea. You're going to make me sound Canadian every time I have to say OutLap.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I like it.
The OutLap. It's the OutLap.
It's the OutLap.
It's not the OutLap. Okay, let's get started. David, you rocked out Micro Swift, Mini Swift, K100 Junior, K100 Senior, and X30 Junior. That was the first five. The G1 and G2 shifter kart guys went up today. We'll do the first five, though. David, let's start talking first about the Micro Swift category brought to you this particular event for the SuperNats by Speed Concepts Racing. Man, packed field, 45 entries in Micro. That's pretty big.
It's very big, but I think the number that kind of stands out to me in our by the numbers that obviously being the youngest category in the event, you're going to have some first-time racers there at the SuperNationals. But this year, we have 12 drivers who raced at the SuperNationals last year and 33 that are making their first ever SuperNational start.
And you're going to get that with the youngest drivers in the sport for sure. A number of them only stay, a couple of years in the micro category, but that will make the first couple, the first Wednesday and Thursday practice interesting, qualifying, because everything they've done, they're doing for the first time on the biggest stage. Now, they've run different races. Some of them may have run the Rock the Rio race, or they've run a lot of events, but it's not the SuperNats, right? That's the pressure coming in when there's so many people there in a 45 kart field. You gave by the numbers, only 12 previous SuperNational starters. Not surprisingly, well, not maybe no former winners rather. So somebody's going to come in here and grab their first victory at the SuperNats, which I think is always a great thing. And we just love watching the micros because they put on such a great show. But you always cross your fingers on the opening lap, right? That they get through that opening lap cleanly.
Yeah, that's going to be just the initial awe of it. That's going to be what we're going to be watching on Wednesday and Thursday and seeing. Hopefully they'll be able to get through practice without any issues. Hopefully dads and the tuners will coach these kids to kind of keep it calm, just learn the track. I mean, really Wednesday, that's all they're there to do is learn the track. And then Thursday it gets a little bit more serious. But again, with that many first timers too, it's also kind of hard to kind of figure out, okay, who's going to stand out? Because with only 12 drivers who have ever been there before, that kind of narrows down okay, well, who of these guys are going to stand out and what first timers are really going to stand out? So that's kind of what we've been looking at.
Let's look at the former winners. Go through the list of former winners. Obviously, this particular category actually launching in 2016. And it's funny when you look back, David, right? When we first started the SKUSA Pro Tour, there wasn't Micro and Mini on the Pro Tour. It was just Tag Cadet. It was 8 years old to, 11 or 12, I guess, right? Was the actual age window. It wasn't until 2016 that the SuperNats actually had a micro category.
Yeah, it was just to kind of, because you could see the age differences, especially in 12-year-olds to 8-year-olds. So it was kind of a great thing. It was kind of a global thing too, because you see it with other racing programs of splitting that young cadet category away from the older cadet drivers. So it was a smart move by Superkarts USA to follow along with that. And I think it's kind of helped them along, because it's welcoming kind of newer drivers to the Pro Tour, especially in the Micro Swift, because they weren't afraid to come and race the older cadet drivers. They were there to get their experience and learn, which is exactly what the Micro Swift category does. But ironically, the last three winners have all been different countries. We had Ben Mayer last year winning with Nitro Kart, became the first American to do so. Vinnie Phillips won in 2017 aboard the Bennick. He's from the UK. And then I can never say his name. Vinicius Tesoro.
Vinicius Tesoro.
From Brazil, winning in 2016, becoming the inaugural winner back then.
And then, David, you look at the field, and it's interesting. Obviously, we're kind of going down through the entry list that we were provided. You're checking off names. Okay, who's going to step things up? This will be interesting, right? Because you've got the drivers who were strong on the Pro Tour, who did so well, guys like Logan Chambers, Jack Iliff. You've got champions from the USPKS. You've got Pro Tour winners, WKA champion as well, and Spencer Conrad, Ayrton Grimm from the USPKS. Man, again, like you said, when they're young like this coming in, it's so hard for us to say, okay, this is the guy or girl who's going to step it up, right? Because you just don't know who's going to take to the track and that kind of discipline quickly, I think.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, Iliff was able to come away with the Pro Tour Championship this season, but he's making his second start in the micro category at the SuperNats, finishing 31st. Yeah. Logan Chambers ended up second in the Pro Tour standings. He actually finished 11th last year at the SuperNationals. So these two kids have that year of growth. So we'll see what kind of happens with that. Obviously, Chambers was more accustomed to maybe the temporary circuit than Iliff was last year. We saw Chambers race at Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. I believe he was the winner this year, or was at least in the battle there. Yep. I wasn't there again, so I can't remember that. But so you have those guys who have been at the front all season long and are essentially going to be those early contenders as we go into it during the going into the week.
You had mentioned in your preview, David, that Logan Chambers is actually, you said only 12 drivers returning from 2018, but actually Logan has raced the last 2 years. He finished 27th in 2017, 11th last year. So if experience will play anything, that's going to give Logan a little more. And as you said, he had such a good run at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix as well. You got to put him kind of, I think, into the fight. Other drivers that you think we should watch for? Obviously, you did the whole USPKS series and a number of the WKA races. So you watched Ayrton Grimm do what he was able to do. He's a Summer Nats winner rather than the Pro Tour. He wins the USPKS championship. Second was Spencer Conrad. What are your thoughts on those two drivers?
Yeah, I think those two are probably the more experienced overall as you look at it. Even though, you have Chambers coming into his third SuperNationals, I think these two have kind of just that overall experience of racing up front every weekend. Conrad and Grimm have been nose to tail to each other all season long in both USPKS and WKA competition. Grimm was able to earn the title in the USPKS, and then Conrad winning the title in WKA. So they have Nick Tucker there to bounce ideas off, to get that guidance from, being a former Pro Tour champion on the Nitro kart. So, and also being teammates, they have the ability to work with each other and understand what's working, what's not working. And that's kind of why I've kind of put them above some of the other drivers. But you also have to look at, as we said, 3 different countries have won in this category over the last 3 years. So you kind of got to look at the international field with a number of young drivers that we might not know a lot about, but that they're probably going to come in with a lot of experience of their own.
Indeed. How about you look at maybe the son of the 3-time winner, Leonardo Nienkotter? And Enzo Nienkotter, he's definitely going to be a driver to, I think, watch. 14th last year. That bodes well for him, running with CRG Nordam.
Yeah, for sure. He's had international experience. He was racing at the Rotax Grand Finals, so he definitely has that confidence coming into Vegas. You have two brothers from Australia coming in to race, Jackson and Jensen Burns. They are actually racing. I believe they changed it from what I was given. Yes, they're racing with Kart Sport North America and the Kart Republic. So we know the Kart Republic cadet chassis has been very successful here in North America and is really growing worldwide. So they're an international name to watch throughout the week. But then it's also Brazil. You got to look at Brazil, some other drivers from there too. And then the Slater.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
And then the Slater family, Alfie Slater, the younger brother of Freddie Slater, who won the X30 junior title this year on the SKUSA Pro Tour. He's been here. I believe he only raced 2 of the rounds of the Pro Tour. So he's got experience racing here, finished 7th in the Pro Tour standings. So we'll see if he's able to step up his game coming into Vegas.
Another driver I got a chance to watch throughout the year. Of course, I did the Texas Pro Car Challenge, and I watched James Moss in number 56. He was really impressive all year long in the Micro Swift class. He's running with Iron Rock Motorsports on a Bennick out of Houston, Texas. I think he could be a driver to watch potentially if he gets comfortable. We kind of looked to the Rock the Rio as well, David, the event that they had at the Rio just a couple of weeks ago where, some drivers may have got some experience. What about Carson Weinberg? What do you think about Carson there? Finished second at Rock the Rio. You've had a chance to see him run throughout the year.
Yeah, Carson's another one that's kind of developed as the season has gone along. Raced under the Nitro tent all season long, so he understands how Carson or Conrad and Grimm have raced before. So if he's able to keep to put the pace down to stay up front, he'll understand a lot about how those two race and can work with them probably a little bit too. Yet they're going to be on different chassis this time around, racing the Bennick for Weinberg. So yeah, he's another driver to watch as well.
All right, so we kind of went through the list a little bit, picked out some of the drivers definitely to watch for. We're gonna sometimes we do this in the editorial. This time we're gonna play with it here in the podcast. David, let's do a little prediction time. You want to pick a winner? You want to pick a top 3? What do you think?
I have my top 5. I told you last week. Let's got to start writing down these top 5s, man. We got to keep our predictions going. So
well, I don't have that. I didn't do that. All right,
get a pen. Get a pen. I'll go first. Get a pen. I'll go first because then you can go off what I'd say.
I can copy what you're doing
and either copy or go completely against what I say, which is perfectly fine. I have no idea. I have no problems with that because I believe I've been the 2 years running champion in the predictions.
You've been pretty good. Yeah. You've been pretty good. There's no doubt. All right. What do you got?
So I mentioned it earlier. I think Conrad and Grimm kind of have the experience and momentum going in. And I think they've kind of been the top two micro drivers throughout the season from my vantage point. And so I have Conrad winning with Grimm second. I have Logan Chambers coming up third. I think the third year of his SuperNationals is going to help him in the experience portion of it. I got Jack Iliff in fourth. Again, just temporary circuit, so I'm not quite sure where he's going to be, but I still, being a Pro Tour champion, I got him up there. And then I have Enzo Nienkotter rounding out the podium.
Good for you throwing it in there. All right, here's what I got. This is interesting here. All right, I think I'm good. I'm gonna say because of the experience and what I saw at the Summer Nats, I'm gonna go Ayrton Grimm with the win.
Okay,
that's my call. I'm gonna go Jack Iliff in second. I think he has matured so much. It's the development that Jack's shown over this short amount of time in the sport's been amazing. I think he'll be second. I've got Alfie Slater in third, Spencer Conrad fourth, and I've got Nienkotter like you did in fifth spot. I put Chambers sixth. I wasn't sure about Nienkotter or Chambers. So I ended up putting Nienkotter fifth and Chambers in sixth. So that's my call. I'm going Ayrton Grimm for the win.
All right.
I think it'll be one of those lead packs where it's going to be 4 or 5 drivers, 6 drivers. Then they'll start dropping guys off, and it ends up coming down. But that's my line there. So I got Grimm, Iliff, Slater, Conrad, and Nienkotter. That's my top 5.
Now remember, we give points for correct position. Points for just being in the top 5, so it can shake down to be whoever went. It's good. I like it.
I know. I know. I feel bad not picking Chambers in the top 5, only because he was so strong there at Lancaster, and I thought he was kind of stepping things up. But I like this call. I think it feels good, and I do know this. You have done a great job with your picks, but whoever you pick, you're normally you kill their chances to win.
Yes,
how many guys?
I have tried to factor that in a little bit throughout my predictions. So don't be surprised if I throw out some random names in there and leave out other names, because if I leave you out, it might be an omen to how well you're going to do.
It's an omen because there's no doubt that you single-handedly destroyed TJ Coyne's chance of win last year.
I believe you picked him to win too. So
I'm not sure if I did.
Don't just throw me under the bus on that one.
All right, there you go, folks. That's our micro Swift. Let's move now into the mini Swift class. 45 entries in micro, 48 entries in the PSL karting sponsored mini Swift class, which is solid. This category, David, I really enjoyed your preview when I first was reading through it, because you harken back to some of the Patricio Award being one, right? He was the first ever winner when they brought the mini class in 2010. Logan Sargent won after that. Then Anthony Ganji Jr. You've talked about the fact that a lot of these guys have moved. Some of those guys have moved on to cars already. But it's just amazing that when I think back 10 years to Patricio Award, who I've been covering through the Road to Indy. Now, of course, part of the Aero McLaren Racing SP program and the NTT IndyCar Series. There's just been so much talent that has come through this mini Swift class at the SuperNats. And I think it speaks volumes for the series itself, the race itself, that it's drawn racers from all over the world that really want to come and win that race. And we've seen guys from different countries like Johnny Edgar and Giuseppe Fusco and Leonardo Maseglia, guys who have won this race. The last couple of years have been Americans, but man, just the mini class is always so much fun to watch.
Can you remember what Patricio Award was racing in 2010?
Oh my God! You know what? I'm going to say a GP.
No. That was S5 actually. GP was S5.
That was S5. All right.
He was actually racing Cosmic with J3 competition.
Wow! Yeah.
I just remember the image of him coming across with the fist in the air. And it's just because again, 2010 was the first year of the Pro Tour. And they added the Tag Cadet program. They were looking to build SuperKarts USA was looking to build that cadet level category in the organization. So it really was a launching point to what it has become over the last 10 years, that adding that category. And just as you said, I think you can kind of look at it over the last decade, like cadet racing in the United States has been among the strongest categories that we've had. And we've shown it as we go to international events, because you talk about Connor Zillage and Brent Cruz, the last two winners in mini Swift here at the SuperNationals. They're both international winners. Cruz winning at Miami, Cruz winning at Rotax, Zillage winning at Rock. So that the last decade has been really about cadet racing here.
That's a fantastic point, David. You're right. And you'll look at the talent that has been developed on the SKUSA Pro Tour at the event like the SuperNats, and to have these drivers who have run other programs, WK, USPKS, Winter Tour, Winter Series, but to have the drivers, the level of competition that has kind of just rose throughout the Pro Tour and has allowed drivers, like you said, Brent Cruz and Connor Zillage, to go overseas and ultimately do one of the things that really karters haven't done for really the last 5 years. They've been doing it, but David, before that, we just didn't have a lot of success going to Europe. And we've sent these kids that started in the junior or the micro, then the mini category, but the tag cadet class, man, they've gone to Europe and they've really, really shown everything, like you said, with Cruz and Zillage. So you're right. The level of competition in mini really here on par with internationally with any other country in terms of developing talent.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. It's just, it's been phenomenal, and it's great to see, because you still have a little bit of the father-son mentality into it a little bit, depending on what tent you're under. But, so you still have that, but it's still just a passion for the motorsports and having fun. But I kind of want to break down by the numbers a little bit. We have
do that.
We have two former. I'll let you start looking at your predictions since you don't have them done. The two former SuperNational winners that we do have in the field are both from the micro category. We have Vince. Oh my gosh, I can't say. Oh, Vinnie Phillips. Sorry, that's Vinnie Phillips. And then the other one being Ben Mayer, the last year's micro winner. So those are our two drivers there. Sorry, I'm trying to bounce back and forth to Windows. 3 SKUSA Pro Tour Championship podium drivers in the field. So all 3 drivers who finished 1, 2, 3 are in the field. We begin that with our champion, Kai Sorensen. Second place in the points, Christian Miles. And then third place, Anderson Leonard. So we got all 3 of those drivers still in the category, not moving up yet, racing there at the SuperNationals in the respective category. So you look at 3 former SKUSA Pro Tour champions are also in the field, and they're all former Micro Swift champions. So Kai Sorensen was one of them. Elliot Cox was the other. And then, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the other one. Oh, Max Garcia. Max Garcia was last year's micro champion. So 3 former micro champions are in the field as well. So that's a bit of a unique number to look at. 10 countries are represented in the field. We have 13 drivers who raced Micro Swift last year are racing in Mini this year. So that's kind of part of that transition, why we have so many newbies in the micro fields, because we have 13 of them moving into Mini this year. But then you look at it, there's a lot of experience because you add those 13 who were in micro last year, but you have 28 who raced at the SuperNationals last year. So that's a lot of experience going into this week at the SuperNationals.
When I look, David, up and down the list, and of course, just starting in my mind because I had notes put on the side of what you'd sent over and with the entry lists, and it's just, as I sit here right now and think about trying to say who would be in the top 5, it's so hard. There's obviously drivers who have looked good coming out of the gate. It's been a third-year driver now in this Mini Swift category. Kai Sorensen has to come in as the championship challenge. The race contender, the primary guy, right? Wins the Winter Series, won the SKUSA Pro Tour, just coming off a Rock the Rio win as well. He won at the Florida Winter Tour. He's essentially won everything he could this year. And there's just that poise and patience and maturity, that Kai has. It's been allowed him to win. Now he's been a little over aggressive at times. He's run afoul of the officials. He's had a couple of penalties, which could hurt him here this weekend if he kind of loses that focus a little bit. But you have to think going in, Kai Sorensen is the primary guy to win.
Yeah, it's like you said, focus. I think if he stays focused and stays on point, he showed that at Rock the Rio a couple weeks ago. Where he was basically the driver to beat there, stayed out front. And when you stay out front, it helps you to stay out of trouble. And so I think that's one of the keys. And I think, so qualifying, I think, is going to be very crucial, especially in this category, because charging up through a field of over 30 drivers with experience at the SuperNationals is going to be very tough to do. So qualifying is going to be very crucial for this category. But as you said, Christian Miles is another guy who comes in, probably his lead contender throughout the season. Miles was right there for the SKUSA Pro Tour Championship, just came in a little bit short, but Miles was the driver who was able to outdo Sorensen at the USBKS program, where Miles came away with the championship there. So I think Miles coming off of that podium finish at the IMA International Final, his first trip overseas, placing 4th there. I think, this kid, he was just in a kart yesterday, in the middle of winter. Thankfully there's no snow there in Illinois where he's at. So the kid has just put in the work, I think, throughout 2019 to kind of be there. So I think, I don't doubt seeing a 1-2 finish between one of these two guys.
Yeah, and then you'll just, when you'll look through the field and just kind of pick up the names that we've been talking about. Enzo Delaney, obviously a Pro Tour winner, won the Challenge of the Americas. You look at the young kids like you talked about, Max Garcia, Caleb Gaffera coming off a strong run, second at Rock the Rio. Scroll further down to Ben Mayer, Sebastian NG, Vinnie Phillips. I don't know.
Yeah. Sebastian NG is won both of the Winter National races. So just wasn't able to get back up on the top of the podium throughout the year. But yeah, he's definitely one to look out. Elliot Cox, as we said, a former micro champion. He's in the field. He's kind of getting more comfortable with that CRD Nordam crew and the chassis there. So he could be one to watch because he's got the experience at the SuperNationals as well. As you said, Grafar is in there. Cameron Brinkman under the Franklin Merlin tent.
I was going to say that was one of my other.
He came in and finished second to Mayer at last year's SuperNationals. So he definitely has the confidence to race in these temporary circuits. So he could be one that we're going to watch. And then Jesus Vasquez Jr. I mean, the kid nearly won everything in the state of California with the California Pro Kart Challenge and LAKC, and he's been basically gearing up for this event over the last 2 months. Like, this is all they're kind of been focusing on. So they'll either come out of the gate strong, or they'll be one of those that are going to be fighting, top 15, top 20, top 10, somewhere in there.
What are your thoughts, David? And I always find this interesting because you mentioned how many drivers are moving up, right? From micro last year, 13 drivers in total. And it's the guys that were in the hunt last year, right? It's Ben Mayer, it's Brinkman, it's Garcia, it's Gaffera. That's 4 of the top 5 from the micro podium last year. That's my thought. How much weight do you play on the drivers from micro moving up into the mini category? They're almost not micro drivers anymore. I know they have a year, but it's a full year, right? A lot of them have done so much racing, even though they're graduating for the first time to run mini at the SuperNats. They have so much experience in the category already, running so many different classes. Do you think there's a chance for some of those micro guys to potentially battle for the win?
Well, Vasquez is in second year of mini, so I
didn't use Vasquez.
Okay, I thought you did. Sorry.
No, I didn't.
Mayer. Oh yeah, I think you said Garcia. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Garcia. He was third.
Yeah, all 4 of those. Yeah, so Mayer, Garcia, Brinkman, Gaffar. I think all 4 of those definitely have the opportunity, have the skill set to race up front. But again, like you said, it is Las Vegas. It's the SuperNationals, so you can't really decide what a 10-year-old's brain going to be thinking when they get behind the wheel for that first session on Wednesday. Or
how about those last 5 laps? I'm thinking more about the last 5 laps of Super Sunday.
Well, right? Again, you got to put yourself in that position. So as we said, that this field is deep, and so you got to be on point right away, and that especially in the qualifying session, because if you don't, you got to work your way up through the heats, and you have one of those bad heats. It's going to be tough to keep that lead group, because depending on who's up front, if they play their cards right, we could see 2 drivers break away. And that's something we've seen done. I saw that with Gaffar and Sorensen at Rock the Rio. Sorensen got to the lead, Gaffar got to his bumper, they pushed away and got away from everybody. So it depends on who we see up front. But as you said, I think these kids are ready for it. But again, you don't know what's going through the mind of a 10-year-old when those final laps are coming through.
It's funny you say that, David, because I think you're bang on, because it's interesting. We look in some of the senior categories or even masters sometimes, even in junior, when you guys get into a lead group and instead of running away, they start racing each other, the next pack rolls up. It just drives me crazy. Sometimes the best strategy and the best racecraft we see in terms of overall race control and managing a race is in that mini Swift class. Sometimes these guys will, more often than not, the lead group of 4 or 5 won't battle very hard. They'll run together knowing it's a long lap, and they push away. And like we always say, try to drop that guy at the tail of the field. If it's 4, drop it to 3, make it a 2-driver battle. That may play more into the mini Swift class than any other category. Because as you said, if you have trouble in a heat race, getting to a barrier and you finish 45th, man, all of a sudden, you're looking at like you said, a mid-pack start potentially on Super Sunday. It's the fact that these guys don't battle like the other guys do that could play exactly into the storyline you're talking about. If you have trouble in the heat races and make a minor mistake, you may not be able to claw your way back out just because of the way the racecraft happens up front.
Yeah, what drivers are going to give up a position to race another lap? That type of mentality.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's. We just kind of rolled through a bunch of names here in the mini Swift category. David, do you want me to go first, or you want to go first? I got mine written down already.
Hold on. Let me get ready for this.
Predictions.
Go ahead, Rob.
Am I going first? All right, here's my thought. And my thinking. Third year in the program, he's won everything. The focus is there. Coming off the Rock the Rio, I don't think Kai Sorensen is going to give up on this one. I think he's going to cap off his mini Swift career with a big win at the SuperNationals. I just think that in all the years I've been watching racing, I go back to certain drivers, starting with Sage Karam, who really had the calm and ability in that third year of cadet racing to realize how to manage a race. And I've seen Kai do that. He can get over aggressive sometimes. I don't know if that's an overall negative or if it's just maybe a minor little thing that kind of irks me a little bit. He does get a little over aggressive and does do the takeout move every once in a while. And he has been penalized for it, but I think he's going to be able to win this thing. Tough for me I could have went either way because I think Christian Miles has continued to develop as a tremendous young driver with amazing racecraft. And I think he has more patience than a lot of the drivers. I think he sometimes gets caught out. Maybe only because he didn't have a team driver up there with him. We'll see how that changes. I'm going to put Christian Miles P2. We didn't talk about this kid, but I think I'm going to throw him in here as my wild card because I know he's a good shoe. And if they get him a good card, he's going to be fast. P3, I'm going to put Brandon Carr. The Englishman. I'm going to put him P3. I know he's young, first year in the series in the category. I'm going Caleb Gaffera P4, based on everything I've seen throughout the year, his development, how he gets quicker throughout a weekend, and a little bit of help there on my decision based on the strong run he had at Rock the Rio, which is again same pavement, same track, not the same layout, but the same feel, same pavement. And I think the PSL guys will have him dialed in with his dad Chuck as well. And rounding out the top five, there's so many other guys you could put in there. I'm gonna go Enzo Delaney, Pro Tour winner, Challenge the America's champion. I'm gonna put Enzo P5.
Good selections. I mean, we're very similar, very, very similar.
Oh, wow, okay.
To be honest, our top four are just if you swap one position for almost each of them, we're right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
So because my winner was based on a coin flip. Because I could not decide, so I just flipped a coin and said, "Okay, who has it?" And it ended up being Christian Miles.
There you go.
And I have Kai Sorensen placing second, so I think those two are the elite right now. I have Gaffar in third, as you said, great job at the Rock the Rio, and he's got that confidence going. And then my international driver was Brandon Carr, top 5 podium contender at Miami International Final. So we've been watching Carr. He finished 9th last year in his mini debut at the SuperNationals. But I have Cameron Brinkman. That's my. So you had Delaney. I have Cameron Brinkman. I think the way the performance he had at the SuperNationals last year convinced me that hey, this kid can drive, and I think he raises up that level of confidence when he's surrounded by all those barriers. So we'll see if Merlin Nation can get him on the podium.
Yeah, you can't play off the Merlin either. That's a pretty solid chassis. And the funny thing, we have a bunch of different chassis in here too. I think we have 4 different chassis. I think I doubled up. I think Delaney is on the Tony card as well, right?
I have 5 different. You have
chassis. 5 different. Yeah. So we've got the Tony kart for Sorensen, the Kart Republic for Miles, the Bennick for Carr, the Burrell Art for Gaffera. I've got the Tony card of Delaney, and you've got the Merlin of Brinkman. There you go. We're not that far off, Dave. That's a good one.
No, it's all about position. Again, those bonus points for what position they finish in.
Well, the crazy thing is literally we could probably take 3 of the guys out of there and put 3 other guys in, depending on how the weekend
easily. I had NG on the bubble. I had Ben Mayer in there. I had a couple other international guys I was looking at. Anderson Leonard's another one because if he's been really good at following Sorensen wherever Sorensen goes. Anderson Leonard's right there. So
that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. All right, folks, we're going to come to another break here. Break number 2 of this edition, the first edition of the EKN OutLap. Rob Howden and David Cole breaking down and previewing 5 of the categories that we'll see at the SuperNationals this year. It's a new podcast that we're going to roll into 2020 as well. We'll do probably a little hour show, maybe a little more, before all of our major EKN Trackside events, kind of fill you in on who's racing, who's leading the points going in. This one, though, starting off with the granddaddy of them all, the SuperNationals. After this break, David and I will come back and we'll jump on into KA100 Junior and X30 Junior. Stay with us. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. We offer trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. We're also your Midwest home for Tony Kart and Miami, and we're your source for MG and Iveco tires in the region. Tony Kart quality cannot be beat, so call us today to put you in a new chassis for your next event. In 2020, we'll be racing and providing arrive and drive programs for the full SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and the Great Lakes Pro Kart Challenge, the WKA's Kart Week in Daytona, and exciting events like the USAC Battle at the Brickyard and the Rock Island Grand Prix. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. The 2020 racing season is closing fast, and SuperKarts USA will press the reset button just after the new year for the third running of the SKUSA Winter Series. The program drew big numbers last year, and we expect solid growth for the coming edition. We're again setting up shop at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex, presented by MG Tires, for two exciting doubleheader weekends on January 10 to 12 and February 7 to 9. All the SKUSA Pro Tour classes will be running at the Winter Series, so it's the perfect spring training for next year's National Championship Series. The weather will be ideal, so get out of the snow and join us for two fun weekends in South Florida. We'll have Pro and G1, G2 shifter featuring the IAME SSE 175cc engine and all the IAME X30, KA100, and Swift classes as well. We'll also be welcoming the popular Margay Ignite Challenge to the Winter Series for a little taste of Briggs 206 competition. Registration opens on December 1st. For more information, visit superkartsusa.com. And to learn more about the Margay Ignite program, check out ignitekarting.com. When you think racing tire in the U.S., one name stands out: Huger. The history of Huger Racing Tire is one of an American dream and is the tire designed for champions. At the end of 2018, Margay Racing became the sole United States and Canadian karting distributor, establishing Hoosier Kartsport. Throughout 2019, Hoosier Kartsport has expanded the Hoosier brand to kart shops, tracks, clubs, and racing series across North America, focused on grassroots programs. 4 different compounds are available through Hoosier Kartsport. The R55 is among the most popular with shifter kart categories. The R60 and R70 serve the 2-cycle and 4-cycle community at the club and regional level. The R80 is the official compound of the Margay Ignite program. The Hoosier Wet has been tested to the limits and ranks among the top rain racing tire in karting today. With a wide range of compounds and a made-in-the-USA racing heritage, Hoosier Kartsport has the tire you need for your track, series, or personal racing needs. Head to HoosierKartsport.com today to find your nearest dealer and follow them on all social media platforms by searching Hoosier Kartsport. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, the inaugural edition of a brand new podcast here, the EKN OutLap. My name's Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, and we are previewing 5 of the categories set to go in the 23rd running of the SuperKarts USA SuperNationals at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino in just a couple of weeks' time. It's November the 11th. They go on track just over 2 weeks from now. Wednesday, they'll get things underway. We're looking forward to it. David and I broke down a couple of categories already. What we do already, David? We did micro and mini Swift. Now it's going to jump into KA100 Junior. This category brought to you by RLV. 47 entries. David, I would have to say, away from the preview side, the KA100 program, both junior and senior, have been an absolute revelation for Superkarts USA. There's no doubt about that.
Without a doubt, for sure. And just for the sport in general, I think it's almost kind of like that cross section between grassroots and national racing.
Yeah.
It's less wear and tear on the body, less wear and tear on the chassis. The engine package is very reliable. It's just kind of that perfect storm situation where people gravitate towards, and again, it's karting. Karting has been based around the 100cc engine package for decades before they brought in the tag concept. And so people gravitate towards that 100cc engine package. And I think especially for the juniors, you get some of these younger kids that go from that mini Swift, that big jump to the tag engine is a little bit too much. So you put them in that 100cc division, and it's kind of a perfect graduation point.
Listen, I totally agree. I was in a conversation with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago talking about a couple of the top drivers in mini Swift who may be moving up. And what do? Do you jump right to X30 Junior? And in my mind, especially if you're a smaller kid, do a year at KA100, especially now that it's on the national level. If you want to stay on the national level, there's great competition. Do a year in the KA100. There's tons of places you can race. Easier transition. The minute you're done there, you move to X30 Junior. I think that's a great call, David. This is going to be a good one, though. 47 entries. Let's go by the numbers. Let's talk first about the first winner. The former winner is actually the first winner because the program, of course, made its debut last year. Let's talk about that inaugural winner and roll through your by the numbers.
Yes. So for the inaugural defending winner, James Wharton, is in the field along with three other SuperNationals winners. We got Brent Cruz, a former winner in micro last year. And I got to find it. I don't have them highlighted now. I used to have them highlighted on who were former winners and who weren't. Oh, Connor Zillage. Yes. So Connor Zillage, Brent Cruz, and James Wharton are the three drivers who are former winners at the SuperNationals. So our next by the numbers, let me get to it here. 4 female drivers. So that's a pretty good number for younger categories. We're starting to see a lot more female drivers again in karting. The numbers kind of go up and down depending in year by year, but it was good to see in the KA100 junior category to see 4 drivers there. 7 different countries represented in the class, so that's pretty good for a second year category. I think it's just for that opportunity for drivers to be able to do both, because as we see with another number of 15, we have 15 drivers going double duty with racing both in the KA100 junior category and the X30 junior category. So this KA100 junior category is kind of like that extra warm-up class for some of these X30 junior drivers. And then we also have 10 drivers returning from last year who raced at the inaugural KA100 junior class at SuperNationals 22.
Continue. Keep rocking. What do you see as I guess we can talk about. Do you want to talk about Pro Tour first? I think that's obviously the thing we've kind of done, looking at the guys that have stepped it up on the Pro Tour category. Number 1 plate Connor Zillage, number 2 plate Kiffin Simpson. I like the way both of those drivers ran throughout the year. I think that with a full season under the belt, did you put a lot more weight on the fact these guys have driven the thing for a year when going against a guy like James Wharton from Australia? Right?
Yeah, well, it's experience, but Wharton is from the country that the engine package was originated from. So, being in Australia, Wharton obviously has had the experience last year. Came into Vegas and basically showed everybody how to drive a KA100. Zillage, he did, really, to be honest. Zillage gave him a good challenge there at the end, was able to close up and just came up short for the victory. So it was a good end to the debut for the category. But when you look at it week wise, I think Wharton kind of had everybody's number throughout the week. So I think, as you said, this year Zillage has another year under his belt, but also Wharton also does too, as Wharton has raced over in Europe, racing at the FIA Karting World Championships and doing other international races. So he's got another year under his belt. Zillage has another year under his belt. Kiffin Simpson, as you said, him and Zillage kind of went back and forth for the SKUSA Pro Tour Championship. And Simpson raced very well over at the IMA International Final in X30 Junior. So he's got some time under his belt. So You throw him in. You got both Morgan brothers, who are probably two of the quickest kids in California right now. Carson Morgan being a 2-time SKUSA Pro Tour champion in the mini Swift category, and Cole Morgan has been pretty much killing it in KA 100 competition in California. So I think the drivers with more experience are going to be the ones that kind of excel, especially in this category. And it's very similar to what we said in mini Swift.
One of the couple of interesting names I'll throw out here for you, just because of seat time, whatever it may be. You weren't at the streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, but you saw him at the Rock the Rio. The kid that really stepped things up at Lancaster and came out of the box and won a couple of classes was Max Opolsky. It was kind of a surprise. Max kind of stepped things up. And, we've always, David, talked about the fact that Lancaster, a little training ground. You know what I mean? How good are you on the street circuit at Lancaster? Does that kind of play a little bit for how you're going to run at the SuperNationals? Opolsky had a good run at Rock the Rio as well. What did you see when you saw him there for the Rock race? You think that because you didn't see him obviously at Lancaster, you only read about it and heard about it from the broadcast. What were your thoughts on Opolsky?
He was among the quick drivers there, but again, I only watched the main event because I was doing a lot of paddock stuff and weren't really watching the heat races going on because we didn't have our normal trackside coverage with the radio. So I wasn't tuned into what was going on in the heat races. And the main event, the Jorge Ortiz just kind of ran away, so it was a big fight for second, and Opolsky was in that fight and eventually was able to get away from that group to get on the podium. So. It's definitely a progression for him because we've seen him kind of be mid-pack to further back than that throughout the season. So I think he's in the last few months has really stepped up his game. So we'll see if he can take that momentum from Rock the Rio and move it over into SuperNationals. Some
of the other names I like to throw out there. Number one, Logan Adams. I like to see what Logan's going to be able to do here. He's got a lot of seat time. What do you think about Logan?
Yeah, Logan is a solid driver. Does really well at home, but has a little bit of ups and downs depending on where he's at, what racetrack he's at. So we'll see if what he's able to do in Vegas. He's making his first SuperNational start in the KA 100 category. So we'll see how he transitions to that. Josh Pearson's another driver that's been a standout in KA 100 competition. He won California Pro Kart Challenge Championship under the Rollison Performance Group tent. He's another double duty driver, so we'll see what he can do running both of those categories. But again, I think he's probably stronger. I think even though he was top 3 in the championship X30, I still think he's probably a stronger driver here for a fight in the victory for KA100.
Dave, what about the international field right now? I know that there's Kart Republic and the Kart Sport North America guys have a young driver from Italy coming over. Your thoughts on Antonelli?
Yeah, coming off a win at the US Cup or WSK Cup there this weekend. So I actually missed his name going through the KA100 lineup. It didn't catch my eye. And then when I was doing my X30 Junior review. That's when it stood out, and I had already posted the K100 review. So, he's again another double duty driver doing both. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how he adapts to the K100 because again, it's a little bit of a slower kart. It's less grip with the harder Evinco tire. So I know talking with some drivers, some mechanics last year, if their driver wasn't adaptive to the change in tire compounds, it wasn't a good idea to run both. But being the Italian has a lot of experience throughout this 2019 season all across Europe, we'll see how that unfolds with him racing both categories.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting thing because there's that you're balancing off that we want the extra track time. We'll run double duty to have the extra track time. Of course, they want to run for both race wins. But the track time is there, but with such a different power delivery and the engine characteristics and the different tire as well, that should make things very interesting. I think that'll be a storyline that you and I follow throughout the weekend.
Oh, for sure. And that just it depends on how the rubber gets laid down too, because the track changes throughout the day. So that's another factor to watch when the K100 groups do go out, because I don't think we'll have as many shifters as we previously had. So it depends on how much rubber is actually getting laid down for the harder compound tires.
Interesting point. Yeah, not near as many shifter drivers in the G1, G2 category. I think we're going to see some good numbers in P1 and P2, the Pro 1 and Pro 2 class. But yeah, very interesting there. All right, David, let's jump into this. This class fully subscribed, big field, 47 entries. We got the former winner. In fact, we got the former first and second coming back. We've got Pro Tour 1, 2, 3. We've got a hot driver coming from Italy, coming off a big victory. All right, I went first in Manny. You go first in K100 Junior. What are your predictions?
My predictions for this category. I think Wharton's going to be right there, but I think he's going to get beat to the line. And I think this year it's going to be Brent Cruz. I think Cruz has just been very fast everywhere he goes in the K100 class. And I just think he has that smooth factor that it just mends with the K100 engine package that he's just going to be able to be one of those guys that is going to be up front. I think Wharton's going to be very quick. I think these two will battle, and I think Cruz ends up beating him out at the line. I have Cole Morgan finishing third. I think Morgan's been a fast driver, again, in the K100 category. Again, it's different from the X30. So some kids can gravitate to the K100, and I think Cole Morgan is one of those. I think Zillage, you can't deny that he's been fast. He was fast last year, and he's been fast all year long, coming in as Pro Tour champion. So I put him fourth. And then you talked him up enough that I put Max Opolsky into the fifth position.
Ah, okay. I like that. I'm with you, P1 and P2. I put Brent Cruz P1. I just more and more that I watch Brent, the more that he just becomes a more mature driver. That driving a bunch of different things. Anytime he can get behind the wheel of something, a USPCast champion this year, swept the action at Spring Nats. I'm going to put Cruz P1. I got Wharton into second. I've got Connor Zilic in P3, and I think this is going to be one of those battles up front where they just go back and forth and back and forth. I really do. I'm calling Kiffin Simpson for P4. The number 2 plate on the Pro Tour this year never finished outside the top 4 in 6 races. Summer Nats winner as well. And of course, he was in the kind of the lead top 10 last year, finished 7th. I think Kiffin Simpson, I'm going to put him P4. And I've been burned before by underestimating some of the drivers coming in from international in the international scene. I'm going to go with Andrea Kimi Antonelli for P5. I think when you have the kind of results he's had in Europe and in Italy, I think he'll make the transition here pretty quickly. He's with a solid team. I'm going to put Antonelli P5.
Yeah, interesting choice. Now,
okay.
Do you think it's going to be a top 3 fight?
I do. I think Zilic will be in the top 3 for sure. The K100 category, I think it's harder to get away. I think that when the guys are good, you're in that draft like crazy. I think it could be top 5 guys together. I don't think it's going to be a 2-driver breakaway. I don't think so.
So do you think Cruz and Zilic will work together, or do you think they'll work against each other?
I think probably together for the first half and against each other for the last 5. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yep. I don't know. That's my call for the junior drivers, though. You good to go with that? You happy with that?
I got it marked down, ready to go.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's go into the X30 Junior class. Then we'll take our last break of this podcast. X30 Junior, brought to you by Orsilon Racing. 75 entries. Packed field for the drivers in X30 Junior, which means we're going to have a last chance qualifier, which I like. David, just scroll through the former winners here. Man, there's some pretty impressive drivers when you look at the guys that have been victorious in X30 Junior.
Well, one thing I talked about at the beginning of the preview was who has won here in the category. We've had 11 different winners since 2009. Felipe Fraga was the inaugural winner aboard the Tony Kart. After that, we have some very familiar names that watch international racing. Jake Dennis driving a top kart in 2009. He took that victory. Yao Vieira winning in 2010 aboard a Tony Kart. Then after that, we have 2 Formula One drivers who happen to race at this event and win. George Russell aboard the Intrepid and Lance Stroll on a Tony Kart in 2011 and 2012. So very awesome, right? Very cool to see that. It's just this is one of those categories. I mean, we've had like Memo Gidley, we've had Who were some of the inaugural winners? No, Mamo didn't win, but was part of the SuperNationals.
Yeah, Mamo won the SuperNats back in, I think, 2000. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scott Speed.
That's what I was trying to think of. Scott Speed, Barron.
Yeah.
So we've had some very popular names early on. So now that the SuperNationals is getting into its third decade, essentially, or fourth decade almost, it's just cool to see the names. You had Logan Sargent in 2014, a karting world champion in the junior ranks, now racing F3 in Europe. Arthur Lease from Brazil, who is now racing F4 here in North America. And then our last three winners, Tyler Gonzalez, Jack Crawford, and Jeremy Fairburn. All these drivers have gone into car racing. So it's exciting to see the drivers coming up through the ranks and winning at the SuperNationals and then taking that and moving up the rank of motorsports.
Agreed. The SuperNationals is obviously one of the highest stages in karting. It's the big stage, of course, in North American karting. It's up there and thought of very well for drivers around the world as well. And to see at that level, David, you and I talk a lot about the fact that karting can be so many things to so many people. Some people lament the fact when it's focused that karting is really just a stepping stone or a development ladder when it really is a sport in and of itself. I think we're all super happy when we hear guys like Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton and whoever, Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, talk about the fact that karting is that pure level of the sport where they had more fun when they were racing. Karting was more pure than anything else they've ever did. Well, that's when you come to a SuperNationals event, you're going to get some of the guys there at the very top of the sport in junior, and they're trying to be the next F1 IndyCar or sports car champion. That's what they're trying to do. Obviously, IndyCar and Formula One being the primary targets. And that's why we get these guys. And that's why when they're able to win races, they springboard off of this into something else. And, to see George Russell win back in 2011, it kind of blows my mind that you flick on the TV now and watch, George and Lance Stroll racing Formula One. George was an intrepid, young intrepid driver back then. Was a little bit shy, but he was a cool kid. Remember interviewing him on the podium, and that was awesome. So and we're going to see more success out of Logan Sargent and Arthur Least and Tyler Gonzalez, who went, MX5 Cup racing. Jack Crawford, who was only 14 years of age this year in the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship, became a challenger near the end of the season. Jeremy Fairburn making the jump as well. These are names that we're going to see for the next number of years. And we're just going to keep adding names because you look at 74 drivers. What was it? Let's say it was 74,
yeah,
Dave?
Sorry.
How many in this category? 75 entries. It's 2 pages of entries here for my notes. And that's what this is all about, man. That's the beauty of this particular program.
Let me go through by the numbers here a little bit just to give you more data before we get into talking about some of the drivers and our predictions. 3 former winners at the SuperNationals are in the field, 2 drivers from the mini category and 1 from micro. We have Brent Cruz, as we said, Connor Zillage, another former mini winner, and then the I can never say it. Vinicius. I can't say it. I hear it, but I can't say it. I don't know why.
You do the writing, I do the talking, except for on the podcast. So we're okay. Vinicius
again. So he was the inaugural micro winner back in 2016. So 3 former winners in the field, but obviously, as we said, none of them from the junior category. So we're going to have a 12th different winner in the category. 11 different drivers. Yes, I said 11 different drivers have won the X30 junior category.
That's awesome. I think that's awesome.
14 drivers graduating from Mini Swift at last year's SuperNationals, moving into X30 Junior this year. 15 countries represented on the entry list, and then 15 drivers racing both K100 Junior and X30 Junior, and then 24 drivers returning from the X30 Junior field of SuperNationals 22. So a lot of experience in this field. That's one thing we're not lacking is experience. But there's still a number of drivers that have not done a SuperNationals that could stand out come Super Sunday.
All right, David, let's throw some names out here. Obviously, we'll begin with the Pro Tour 1, 2, 3, the plate holders. Freddie Slater, winning the championship in the Pro Tour. Brandon Tyner P2 won at the Winter Nationals, and Josh Pearson P3 wasn't able to actually win on the Pro Tour, but champion on the California Pro Kart Challenge in both KA100 and X30 Junior. How do you rate those three drivers coming in here?
Well, you look at Pearson, like you said, 2 championships at the regional level. He finished here 14th. So he's got another year under his belt. Again, this is going to be his second year at the SuperNationals in the category. So he's just one of those. He was quick in Mini. He was always one of those quick drivers in Mini, and it just took him a little bit of experience to garner some of that experience to get better, and he's gotten better. And to be able to be one of those championship contenders going into the Summer Nationals was huge for him. Obviously, it didn't turn out the way he wanted, but I think he's going to be really strong here in Vegas. Tyner, again, making his second start at the SuperNationals, finished 28th last year. So you can definitely be sure he's going to be among the top 15 battling it out. But really, Slater, he's a unique story because, again, he came over. He's racing here in junior because he's not old enough yet in Europe to race.
It's only 11, right?
So he just turned 11 this year. So he wasn't able to graduate up to the next category yet. And so he came over and raced the junior category here and won in 5 rounds. It didn't take him 6 rounds. He won in 5 rounds. So, but that's the craziness of this X30 junior category because it's different from session to session, day to day. But he's only finished top 10 in the 2 mini races that he did here at the SuperNationals. So temporary circuits might not be his thing. So we'll see how things kind of unfold now as we go into the week.
So you mentioned Tyner, you mentioned Pearson, some impressive drivers just outside the top 3 as well. And just the way the Pro Tour kind of rolled out, the racing was so aggressive up front. Throw Luca Mars in there as well. We talk about all the international experience that some of these drivers have and what they've been able to do internationally. Luca Mars right there as well. He's done a number of races overseas. We've already mentioned Connor Zilic, Pro Tour champion in K100. He was 7th in X30 Junior. I like both of those guys to be in the front battle too. Again, this is so hard even to figure this out. Who's going to be up front? I feel like somebody that we're talking about, David, is going to be like 12th or 13th at one point. That's going to happen. Not everybody can be top 5.
Well, that's how the SuperNationals unfolds. Yeah, you have drivers you expect to be up front. You have drivers that you thought might be in the battle that are either step up or step down, and then you have the wild cards that come out of nowhere that are right there, and then they land on the podium come Super Sunday. So that's kind of the beauty of the SuperNationals.
Well, and I mentioned Luca Mars. So you go to that. Just simply go to the Speed Concepts Racing stable. Right on the Tony karts with Mike and Alex Speed. You throw Kiffin Simpson in there. We already talked about Kiffin potentially running for a race win in KA 100. Then you got to throw in guys who like Luca Mars, as I said, Luca. Right. Then you got to look at as well Justin Arsenault, who could potentially win from that team. Luke Lang. Like these are 4 drivers who we've watched at least 1 or 2 races be leading Pro Tour events, and And of course, the Speeds have a long history at the SuperNats, essentially all of them. They've been there from the very beginning with both Scott and Alex. They know how to approach this weekend. They obviously know how to take care of their drivers mentally and physically. At this, I think those 4 drivers I brought up. Do you feel the same way about the Speed Concepts crew?
Oh, for sure. And so then you add in the team dynamic. How do the teams approach it? Because we have the same thing with the Rawlison Performance Group with Tyner and Pearson. And then you add in Bryson Morris. Bryson Morris finished 5th in K100 Junior last year, moving over to X30 Junior this year. And he won at the SKUSA Pro Tour race at the Summer Nationals. So he went from 12th to 1st. Mind you, it was his home track, but still to go from 12th to 1st against Pro Tour caliber drivers is amazing. So you have that. And
Dave, stay with your Rawlison Performance Group. How about Jason Leung, the Canadian, coming off a tremendous – you were setting up for it, of course. Coming off a run. We watched him at the Rotax Grand Finals. The guy was fighting for the race lead every heat race. It was awesome.
Every heat race ended up on the podium after penalties shook out, actually dropping Luca Mars off the podium and moved Jason up into the 3rd spot. So you got Jason that's racing under Rawlison. So you have that team dynamic that also factors into it because qualifying again very key here at the SuperNationals. So drivers working together, how well are they doing it? Are they able to come across the line 1, 2, 3, or 4? Or, is it one driver leading, not doing the job that he's supposed to do when they go out for qualifying after they've been doing it all practice long? So so you have the strong drivers and you have strong teams. You put all that in together, you turn on the blender, and then boom, we're at qualifying. So we'll see kind of how that unfolds. But and then you throw in drivers who have experience, like we said, James Wharton. Wharton's going to come in and do both races or both categories this year. So he comes in as a KA100 winner last year at the SuperNationals, been racing overseas all year long. So he's got that experience, but he's racing alone. He's in a Parolin. He's all by himself. Who's he going to partner up with? Or is he just going to play the field, figure out what drivers he needs to be around in order to get those fast laps?
And I'll echo what you said about the team part of it, because I obviously it plays in two ways, right? If your team is good, that the rising tide lifts all boats. You know what I mean? If the team feels good, if they're, even if just one driver's making it work, they can transfer the setup to other drivers. If the team is strong, normally everybody can kind of be strong as long as the talent is there. If the team's struggling overall, then it kind of brings everybody down. And then you mentioned being on track, David, not just in qualifying, having some help in qualifying, but it's nice if you guys all qualify well and you're racing around each other. You talked about Wharton not having a friend. If you get, 3 or 4 of the Rawlson Performance Group guys, or 3 or 4 of the Kart Sport North America, or Speed Concepts, or Crosslink guys, whoever it is, they start getting together, man, that can make such a difference, especially in some of these cutthroat, elbows up kind of heat races where you're just scrounging for every position you can get.
Yeah, but heat races is a different story because I think it's kind of one for all,
you think so?
All for none. So it's SuperNationals. We've seen a lot of times where the teammate, like, I'll help you get up there, but once we get there, it's kind of on your own. But again, I could be wrong. Some of these kids might actually work together.
Any other names? Well, we brought up Andre Kimi Antonelli a little bit, the Mercedes Junior team and Rosberg Racing Academy driver. He's doing double duty. Obviously, we're excited to see what he's going to be able to do, his debut at the SuperNationals. I mentioned Justin Arsenault. I think a driver who could be one to watch because he finished 7th last year and has really turned into a pretty solid junior driver. That's John Burke with Iron Rock Motorsports. I think the Texan needs to be watched for sure. I think he could be easily a dark horse to be able to go for the race win. Maybe even, what about Dale Curran for CRG Nordam? Dale, of course, getting a race win, a Pro Tour win at the Winter Nationals. He's a really talented young Canadian.
Yeah, this will be his debut with CRG Nordam. So we'll see how that dynamic works. Him moving over to CRG after racing on OTK all season long. So we'll see how that dynamic works. I keep going back to international drivers, Rob, but I have to, just because of the stature that they bring with them. Robert De Haan from the Netherlands. Yeah. He's been a really strong competitor internationally, was one of the top 3 championship contenders in the Academy Trophy that Luca Mars was a part of, and then did very well at the Junior World Championships, finishing 7th. So I think De Haan, even though he's one of those guys that's on his own, I think he has the experience aboard the energy cart to be one of the quick drivers as well too.
You mentioned Dale Curran being with CRG Nordam as well, and they'll have Noel Leon back, the Mexican driver who was one of the top shoes at the SKUSA Winter Series. Man, he was good there on that CRG. So again, that's you talked about. We talked about Dale Curran being quick. Let's see how well he and Leon can dial things in on that CRG chassis to be ready as well. But what are your thoughts on De Haan with Nash Motorsports, based on our notes on an energy chassis? You think that's going to play into the factor at all? Different chassis? Is there anybody else on an energy this weekend or that weekend?
No, I don't think the chassis has anything to do with it. I think he's a fast driver. He's raced energy over in Europe aside from the Academy Trophy. So I really think De Haan is going to be. We had Dan Schlosser do the mechanic minutes from the Academy Trophy. So he had mentioned in one of his posts, I believe it was the opening round for Academy Trophy, when De Haan was on the podium. He said, "Man, this kid is fast. He's good." So I like to go off what other people are saying that I respect in the sport, even though I don't respect you, but I do listen to you.
Why is this happening right now?
But I do respect Dan, and I take his opinion very seriously, and so I kind of, I have my eye on him. But like you said,
Agreed.
Antonelli, like that's another international name. So it could be another international win that we haven't seen happen in the tag junior category since Arthur released one in 2015.
Man, that's this is so hard. I don't even know what this.
I can go first again if you want. If that's what
you can't.
Is that why you're stalling?
Stalling a little bit. Yeah. It's exactly why I'm stalling right now.
I'll go because we just got done talking with Robert DeHaan. I'm going to go first, and he is my winner.
Wow.
I have Robert DeHaan winning over Luca Mars, Connor Zillage in third. I have Jason Lewing in fourth, and I have John Burke in fifth. I think it's just there. I mean, like you said, there's probably 10 other drivers that we could throw into this top five, and I just, it's almost kind of just roll the dice and see what numbers popped up, and these were the 5 drivers I think that are going to stand out. I think Burke, kind of working with Iron Motorsports and Supertune, I think he's going to be more Supertune at SuperNationals, but they had Jeremy Fairburn win last year, so I think that's going to help Burke's experience. He's got Freddie Slater there. I didn't have Freddie Slater in my top 5 as you see, but
I don't either. He's young,
but I don't think he has that temporary circuit mentality. So that's why I haven't put him in there. But I think Burke does. I think he's a bigger body, just kind of like how Jeremy Fairburn is last year.
Yep.
So that's why I put him fifth. I think Jason has the international experience, and you can't deny him finishing third at the Rotax Worlds. Connor Zillage, again, he's been fast everywhere. Him and Luca Mars, I kind of put them together because they've been together everywhere they've gone over the last 2 months. When you talk about Rock Cup Super Final, you talk about Rotax Grand Finals, you talk about Rock the Rio. They've been either on the podium together or they've been right together in the final position. So that's why I have them locked in at second and third, and then I have DeHaan winning it all.
Funny, I had just finished writing mine down when you started, and here's my deal. I'm going with John Burke for the win. I thought exactly what you did about Fairburn last year, winning with the Tony and working with the team that they're working with. I got John Burke for the victory. I think it's going to be his breakout win. I think he's always battling for that win. I think he's got it. I'm going to go with John Burke. I got Luca Mars second, Connor Zillage in third. Very same with you. Again, just one of the things about the SuperNats is I think you have to have a mental toughness to be able to get success, because I think it's such a long weekend. It's 5 days. Even though you're only on track for half the day, from Friday to Saturday, from Wednesday to Saturday, I think it's a grueling deal. I think that you pounded out so hard for those 4 hours you're trackside, working with your team, and it's being just such there's so much pressure and to a certain extent, desire to win. Drivers putting their own pressure on themselves. But when you get to Super Sunday, you can feel it. It's electric. And I think that Mars and Zillage, with the experience they have overseas, I think is going to be strong. I'm going to put DeHaan in fourth only because I've watched what he's done, but I don't know well enough about it. And the only thing, I guess, when you come over here and you're an international driver, you're not going to get any favors. Nobody's going to really give you any room at all. We've seen international drivers do extremely well here. If he gets out front, I will say this: if he gets out front and gets a bit of a gap, I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away to the win and you end up getting the big money on that one. But if he's racing in a fight with guys with their elbows up, I don't think that he's going to be given any room whatsoever. So I got DeHaan in fourth, and I've got Jason Leung like you in fifth. I think I just don't think you can play down momentum. And Jason's on such a good run. Rawlson Performance Group has been on such a good roll, especially at the SuperNats. Last year, they put all 8 of their senior drivers into the main event, which was tremendous. I think that the Rawlson Performance Group has a really good feel for the SuperNat, so I'm going to put him P4. Again, I could have went with Tyner. I probably could have went with Pearson. I just went with Jason Leung because there's momentum. That's my. At
least you have 3 drivers in different spots than I do. I'll give you that.
Yes.
But, at least you are understanding my greatness and you're following along.
I was.
With me.
Well, I'd written it down. I had just written Leung down when you started, and so it is what it is. But I'd written Burke down, and I got like, man, because I wasn't sure you'd put Burke in there. But when you said I already had him written down, you said third. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's again, there could be 5 drivers, totally different drivers.
Oh, for sure.
Especially
that could be, and that's the thing. I have the numbers, but I didn't put them in our rundown. I'll do that for our part 2 rundown to see where we ended up last year.
Yeah,
and I'll have a little more time this week to do that.
I'm just going to throw it. It could literally be Kiffin Simpson, Dale Curran, James Wharton, Brandon Tyner, and Freddie Slater.
What about Brent Cruz?
Or Brent Cruz. That's it. Like there's
too many.
For sure. That's the thing. It's just it's just enough. Not too many. That was awesome. All right, David, where are we here right now? Let me
commercial.
See where's my notes? Got them right here. All right, folks. Final commercial. The inaugural edition of the EKN OutLap. I hope you're enjoying it so far. We are previewing 5 of the 10 classes you're going to see at the SKUSA Pro Tour, or rather the SKUSA SuperNationals, just a couple of weeks away in Las Vegas. Stay with us. We'll wrap things up after this break.
The Kart Republic has arrived in the USA, and it's been taking the world by storm. Kart Sport North America is the country's importer and distributor for Dino Chiesa's Kart Republic chassis, and as a leader in American karting, they are focused on providing stability for the sport and quality products and service for the community. Kart Republic racked up an unprecedented amount of championships in its first season in 2018, ranging from the SKUSA Winter Series in X30 Senior, the United States Pro Kart Series in Mini Swift and X30 Pro, the FIA European Championship, and the FIA World Championship in OK Senior. Whether you'd like to find out the Kart Republic dealer closest to you or schedule an arrive and drive package with its official North American race team, contact Kart Sport North America through their official website, kartsportna.com. If you want to drive the best, drive a CRG. Our countless race wins and championships prove this fact, including taking the KZ Finals at the SKUSA SuperNationals and the CIK World Championships in both 2016 and 2017. Our material is second to none. After years of independent American importers, CRG is now managed directly by the factory and run out of our state-of-the-art headquarters in Texas. CRG Nordam is the American arm of the CRG factory in Italy, and we're serious about success. We stock a wide variety of parts in all of our chassis, from the CRG Hero for the mini categories, to the Heron for tag race, the Road Rebel for gearbox competition, and the new FS4, which has been designed specifically for American 4-cycle Briggs racing. If you're ready to step up to the national level, do it with a factory race team that competes across the USA. CRG Nordam is a full factory effort with the best personnel and the finest equipment. We're serious about winning, and you should be too.
Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring. The most legendary endurance races in the world, where man and machine push the limits of physics in an attempt to beat their competition and the clock. Are you ready to take on this challenge yourself? Well, the SimCraft 24 Hours of Orlando Karting event returns for 2020 with USAC Karting. Get out of the winter and into the Florida sun with a new date on February 1st and 2nd at the Orlando Kart Center. With the field already exploding after the 2019 event, there are less than 10 entry spots remaining. It's going to be an exciting event with factory and dealer-supported entries from DR Kart, CRG Kart, TV Kart, Praga, Margay, GP, Mac Minarelli, Tony Kart, and Cosmic. Don't miss your chance. To register a team, head to 24hrsoforlando.com to find the rules and the event schedule. Once you're ready, you can save your spot with a $600 deposit to hold your place in the largest 24-hour karting event in North America. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Final segment here on the EKN OutLap as we preview the upcoming SuperKarts USA SuperNationals November 20th to 24th at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino. As always, make sure you tune in to EKN, our ekartingnews.com/live page. We'll have all the live coverage from qualifying through all the way through Super Sunday. but of course, Superkarts USA as well, using our audio to stream live on Facebook and a chance to watch all the action taking place in the parking lot at the Rio. David, let's wrap up this OutLap podcast with a look at KA100 Senior. Again, before KA100 Junior, you talked about how this category really has just exploded across the country. Yamaha was always super positive, but then I don't know, it's just the age of the engine, whatever it was. People ask me that question, why isn't Yamaha going if people like the KA100? It's touch and go. It's a fun motor to drive. I don't know what to tell you, but the bottom line is people are on board with it. 50 drivers will be in the category, which will be sponsored by Bell Helmets this year.
It was one of the thrilling main events that we had last year, because we had, I believe it was 5 or 6 drivers in the lead group, had a little bit of contact coming to the white flag, and then the final circuit and just how everything kind of unfolded. It's one of those pack races. It's like watching Talladega or Daytona and NASCAR, or watching the Indy 500 at it's just you're not quite sure who's going to come out and be victorious. And that was kind of how it unfolded. And we had Steven Barros coming out as the inaugural winner last year in what was an epic main event.
Again, when you'll go through the by the numbers, this past weekend, you played the all the Super Sunday broadcasts on the EKN Radio Network. And I tuned in really quickly, just showing a friend of mine that we had the app. I was showing him what we put together and how you could easily, you just download the EKN Radio app, tap it. We're 24/7 with all our content. And as I came on, it was the last 5 laps of this KA100 Senior. And I just stopped. I had to stop. And it sounds ridiculous that I was listening to myself, but I was getting goosebumps because I'm kind of remembering how those last 5 laps played out, and how Steven Barros made that move on the last lap, and how emotionally and enthusiastically he celebrated on the cool down lap, and the interview we did in Victory Lane. It was, man, there was just, the fact that I tapped on it at the right time, it was perfect, because I stopped for like 10 minutes to listen, because man, they put a show on last year, and I just thought it was just absolutely amazing. And I'm looking forward to this year's too.
Oh, it was amazing. And looking at the time schedule from last year's, it was the second to last class. So it was KA100 Senior, X30 Master, and Pro Shifter. We actually it was like a early sunset, or we were delayed or something, and it wasn't as bright out, and it was, the Pro Shifter was nearly in the dark. They actually had the lights on, if I recall, during the
lights are on. We had the lights on.
So that KA100, so it wasn't quite dark, but it wasn't light out. So it had that eerie feel to it. It was a magical event to watch. It was, as you said, I haven't listened back to the main event, but I can see it in my mind. I remember as we were sitting there watching the final laps and watching the footage on the monitor there as you were calling it. It was just it was pretty cool to see.
It was, and again, the pack style of the engine package, right? The way they drive, the way you run together, and the kind of open nature of the racetrack. Now, you say they're going to make some changes, but the track was kind of open last year. Remember, if there was any complaint from drivers, they thought the track wasn't overly technical enough, right? And then what we saw was, as soon as the drivers started to get into the lead, they started to run the defensive line, and that packed everybody else back up. So I think just the way that the engine package, the racing it provides, plus the way the track was designed, it's just going to be another, top 10, top 12 guys running all together until they start to pull away a little bit. I got to believe that. I got to believe that's how it's going to play out.
Yeah, unless they do make it a little bit more technical, depending on the radiuses of each corner and how they, especially in the far section that we couldn't really see. I think that might be the area where they make it a little bit more of a change. But we'll see. I loved how they came to us coming on down that long straightaway. You had 2 180s into a 90, and then that big sweeping corner right there at the pit in, pit out area. I think that corner was really fun to watch, because you couldn't really run a defensive line, because if you did, you were going to get the over under definitely for sure on you there. So I don't know. I thought it raced really well. But as you said, with the K100 category, drafting and big packs are part of it. But that's just how it's going to be, I think, no matter the racetrack that you have.
All right, let's have a look. Any more of the numbers you want to throw out there, David? You haven't done by the numbers yet.
No, by the numbers, yeah. Well,
the first one,
it's a nice little trivia thing. Let's see if you can remember. We only have one previous SuperNationals winner in the field, and it is from the year 2000, K3 novice winner.
Oh man,
and he was actually in the field last year.
K3 novice winner. From
now you got to go down the
hold
entry
on.
list.
I'm going down from 2000.
From 2000.
What was?
You want me to give you any clues?
What was K3? Was that the 60cc novice class?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God.
2000. Mind you, that's 19 years ago.
Trust me, dude. I get it. Let me scroll through here for a second. I was there. Remember?
And the guy could probably run Masters. Who knows? He raced last year. I'll give you that. He raced last year.
In what category?
In this category.
Dude, I know exactly. It's Greg Welch.
There you go. Hey, what do we have for him, Johnny?
That's right, baby. Yeah, he was a race winner. That's right, Greg Welch in the 60cc novice class. I do remember that. Yeah, that's good. All right,
yep,
you got me.
Yep. So 4 is the next number. Only 4 drivers from outside the United States are in the field, so it's a very USA heavy field. 6 graduates from KA100 Junior are racing here in 2019, so a little bit of a graduating class there. 7 of the top 10 finishers returning from the 2018 SuperNationals, so 7 of the top 10 guys coming back. That alone tells you how competitive this field is going to be. And then only a total of 7, but yet only a total of 17 drivers are returning from last year. So we have a lot of experience that are coming in, but have never raced at the SuperNationals.
Dude, I'm working on my picks right now. This is ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
But it's you kind of have to look at it kind of how the Pro Tour kind of unfolded throughout the year.
Yeah, but dude, there's so
Pro Tour. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think so.
Go. You don't think so?
Well, because
but think about it.
Well, because here's why. Because there's these pockets of KA100 with like California Pro Kart Challenge area, Pro Tour, USPKS. But there's there's these pockets of top 5 guys that could easily be their own top 5. That's the way I feel. You know what I mean?
Maybe for our next show we should Facebook Live you making these picks, and then you can cry to the camera because you're going to lose this prediction contest. Right?
Yeah, I might need. I'll take some more time for the next one. This is because I'm still feeling good. Let's talk Pro Tour though. Let's throw the guys in there. Talk about the guys.
Like we said, we have 7 drivers who were in the top 10 last year returning.
Yeah.
And then you look at the way the Pro Tour Championship unfolded this year. We had 4 drivers essentially coming into the SuperNationals with a chance to win the title. And it ended up going down to the checkered flag. And then after the checkered flag was flown was when it was decided. Austin Osborne ended up being the champion after having a second flat tire in a second main event on the year. So Austin Osborne went, I think he had how many wins? I can't remember how many wins he had. One win on the year, but had 2 main events.
Got 2 wins, right? 2 wins, 2 flat tires.
2 wins, 2 flat tires. There you go. So he ended up actually winning the championship after the checkered flag because the provisional champion was Nick Persing, had a starting infraction that cost him 5 positions in that last main event, losing valuable points and dropping him from first in the provisional championship to third in the provisional championship, giving Osborne the championship, moving Nick Ramirez up into second. So, and then you throw in Blake Hunt, who came in leading the championship and ended up having a flat tire in the first qualifying session and wasn't able to really rebound the rest of the weekend. He finishes 4th in the title. So you have all 4 of these drivers who were solid throughout the season. And the championship unfolded, but all 4 of these drivers are coming into the SuperNationals. And aside from Osborne, Ramirez, Persing, and Hunt, they all want more. They want it. They have that mission because they had that title in their hands essentially at one point. Because Ramirez had an opportunity as well too, but Persing had a better position finish. So Ramirez almost had the championship in his hand in that last main event. So at one point, all 4 of these drivers had the championship in hand. Osborne was able to claw his way out of it with the title. But now all 4 of these drivers are coming into Vegas, and they're going to be among the contenders.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I look at some of the guys that from California when we did the Pro Kart Challenge event at the Streets of Lancaster. Oliver Calvo, senior driver coming in this year, 4 times a winner at Lancaster, and he was able to win the K100 senior category. Jake Drew put a show on coming from the tail of the field. You got Scott Foster, who finished P4 last year, the Australian. Obviously, his dad, Kip, with 3 wins, looking to try to tie Connor De Felipe. You got some guys coming out of Texas like Alejandro Jaramillo. You got the veteran like TJ Coyen. You got Brandon Lemke.
Don't say his name. Don't say Coyen. No, that you're going to ruin your shot.
I just said his name.
I know that.
I just said his name.
Don't put him in.
Dude, you're the killer, not me.
Don't put him in your predictions. Don't put him in him.
Dude, you're the dream killer, not me. You are the dream killer.
Did you see the Facebook post though?
No, I'm not sure if I did or not.
So there's a bet on the line.
Oh, there is. What's going on?
If he wins the race,
yeah,
I owe him an ice bucket full of beer.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's totally fair.
Because I'm not going to pick him this year.
You're not going to be the dream killer.
No, I just mentioned him in the preview that I figured it was I owed it to him for ruining his race last year, and you did too. But ice bucket beer.
God, man, I don't know what to do here right now.
All right, so as you keep looking down, you mentioned the USPKS program. That program actually was one of the first to start with the K100 engine package.
Yeah.
So they have now 3 years under their belt with the category. This year they have Josh Holtz coming in. Yeah. He finished second in the championship chase. Matthew Maccabee finished third. He's making his first SuperNationals. Holtz actually finished second last year, but was given a 5-second penalty for jumping the start. So that moved him off the runner-up spot, moving him down to third. That gave Colton Ramsey the runner-up spot. He's won at the USPKS program this year. He's kind of coming back from a little bit of an illness this summer. So he's coming back to try and move up that one spot up on the podium to try and actually win that SuperNationals. So USPKS is coming in strong, not to mention, if I want to keep going on the Merlin Nation flag there, Brandon Lemke coming in, a former SKUSA Pro Tour champion in the junior category. He's going double duty. He's going to race K100 and X30 Junior. Last time he raced K100 was Daytona in 2018, where he won in substitution for Brad Britton. Just waxed the field there. So, yeah, there's a lot of East Coast guys that are coming over that are...
that's what I'm saying. Pockets.
Yes, that are looking to take it away from West Coast. So if you want to look at it as East Coast versus West Coast has it right now, but Barros isn't coming back. So it might be East Coast this year.
All right, let's do this deal. Let's wrap this thing up.
Nobody else you want to talk about?
Well, we can if you want. Like, what do you want to go through here? Let's have a look through.
Garrett Adams.
Yeah, and Jensen Altzman, a couple of A's, top of the alphabetical order. Garrett Adams, the Newcastle kid, quick. Altzman coming off a win at the Rock the Rio.
You got
plays well, doesn't it?
The Summer Nationals winners in the Pro Tour. You got Joshua Fine and Walker Hess, the Utah drivers. Yeah. They're coming in to put up their elbows against the Super Nationals field. Ethan Ho, a challenging America's champion. He's making the move up to senior, along with
he won twice in the Pro Tour, right? Swept the Winter Nationals in junior, right?
Exactly. So he had the potential to win the Pro Tour championship, but it kind of slipped away from him. Dylan Christie, another junior driver moving up. So, I mean, that's a lot of names there to throw out. You already talked about Drew and Calvo. That's kind of representing and Altzman. Those guys are kind of representing the West Coast. Or do we have mountain time? Do we have time? Is anybody from the mountain region going to do it? So it's
it's Greg Welch.
Yeah, Greg Welch.
Greg Welch is
like I said, the Utah guys. And
how about Jonathan Silva running senior, not running X30 Master?
Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, he was last year's Rock the Rio champion. Almost had almost defended his win this year, but broken reed cost him a chance at grabbing the victory this year. So we'll see
in Masters.
Yeah, in Masters. Yes, correct. So we'll see. We'll see how he does again up against the young guns and senior. So,
all right,
you ready?
My picks are in.
Okay,
my picks are in. You want me to go first?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Want me to go first? All right. Ready for the shocker?
I am.
Winner in K100 Senior, Brandon Lemke. I'm going to go Lemke with the win. I got Josh Holtz in second. I got Blake Hunt third. And I think from California, Jake Drew, P4. Very impressive all year long in California. Was a bear coming from the back at Lancaster, like I said, after an issue in the pre-final in the heat. And I've got Austin Osborne, P5, Pro Tour champion, fifth.
Did you hack into my laptop and steal my predictions?
No, why? Were we close?
We're very close.
Really? Wow, that's funny as hell. All right. No.
Either that or we just spend way too much time together.
That could be it.
Is it that or we're just that good? One or the other.
Well, listen, dude. We don't know we're that good until Super Sunday is done.
Point.
We could be wrong on every one of them, like I said.
So your shock for winning it was not much of a shock to me because I have Brandon Lemke winning it all.
All right.
As Merlin Nation finishes 1-2 with Josh Holtz.
That's hilarious. We're both first. Dude, that's
but
hilarious.
I have to respect the Aussie, oi, 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 with Scott.
Really?
I got Scott Foster.
Yeah.
He finished fourth last year, so I got him in the mix as well because, again, K100 is Australia.
Yeah.
You gotta show a little bit of love for Australia. Now.
Agreed.
So I put him.
Yeah, and easy. It could. Yeah.
So I put him third, right. And then again I went Jake Drew and Austin Osborne.
I'm not kidding.
I had this written down. I told you that.
That is super weird.
Yep.
Wow, that's funny.
But I won't pick Calvo.
That's
I
crazy.
know that because I picked him before, so I'm not. I know you talked about it. So I'm not picking Calvo. And again, that TJ kid, I'm not going to put any hex on him.
I've never heard of him before. Yeah, never heard of him. No idea. No, well, that's funny. That's really funny. Because as I'm picking him, I'm like, man, I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here a little bit, maybe on Lemke. But no, Brandon's just he's a poised driver. Merlin are such good karts. And yeah, all right. So there you go. That's funny. So, all right, folks, that wraps it up. We're done. Our next EKN OutLap, episode number 2. We're going to try to get it done on Friday, right, David? Well, it has to be Friday. I leave Monday anyways. So Thursday or Friday?
No, we're going to record it on Friday. We'll see if we can get it up on the radio that day or either on Saturday for playing throughout the weekend.
Perfect.
But, Yep.
Yeah, and folks, you can go to the EKN Radio Network. We'll play these aggressively. We'll probably just keep streaming them so that you're going to be able to get them, and then we'll get them out in podcast form. Probably, what do you want to do, Dave? Like Tuesday or Wednesday podcast? Well, we'll do the first one at least Tuesday, maybe the second one Wednesday or something like that.
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday and Wednesday. Yep.
Perfect for flying. When you're flying if you're flying to the race, download it. You're good to go. So part 2 of the SuperKarts USA SuperNationals 22 preview will be G1, G2, X30 Master, X30 Senior, KZ, and the Pro 1 and Pro 2 category. David, of course, is going to keep rocking and rolling with his previews. Those will be coming out throughout the entire week as well. As we really just start to amp things up. We're looking forward to this year's SuperNationals. Last year, we debuted our Facebook Live debriefs from the Shutters Bar. Was kind of a good place, David, to be able to have some guests join us as they worked their way in from the track. It worked out really well.
It worked out great. It was much better than freezing our asses off outside because it does get a little chilly. And with the weather forecast being low 40s for a low, it'll drop down there into the 40s real quick. Yeah, so we did that. I think it was Thursday night, or Friday night. Then we moved inside. We're going to be inside for the rest of this time. It works better for us. But folks, we hope you enjoyed it. Our first ever EKN OutLap, previewing the first 5 categories of the SuperKarts USA SuperNationals. We'll do our next one, as we said, at the end of this week. So you'll be able to have it good to go on Saturday and throughout the weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.